I wanted to share and discuss this clip about the insane cost of asylum claims in Canada, the billions of dollars we're spending and wasting, the bogus claims. She's got some amazing numbers here, and it's just kind of hammering the government. So let's see what she says. Won't do the whole thing, but it's quite interesting to listen to some of this.
Absolutely abused and absolutely made a mess of by this Liberal government. So today I rise to speak to Bill C-12. I will direct my comments to parts 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the bill, which amend the Department of Citizenship and Immigration Act, as well as the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. These parts are similar to the immigration provisions contained in Bill C-2. A decade ago, Canada's asylum claim backlog sat at less than 10,000 cases. Today, that backlog sits at several 100,000, with thousands more claims being.
Think about that. So a decade ago, she says we had about 10,000 people waiting to see if they could get asylum or not. Now we have hundreds of thousands of people waiting and getting paid with free dental, free everything while they wait. That's what Trudeau encouraged to come in. That's why it jumped, like 20, 30 fold.
Made every month. While there are many highly persecuted persons around the world who are legitimately seeking refuge in Canada, there are many claims that are currently in that massive backlog that are bogus. Worse, those claims are taking years, not months, not weeks, years to process. And worse, even after being found to have had a bogus claim.
So think about that, right? It takes years to get your court hearing. So if you come in under Trudeau and now Carney's rules that they changed from somewhere, and you're not like a real refugee, you're going to get kicked out at some point. If you just show up, you get free healthcare, free food, free place to stay for years until your court hearing. That's why it, you know, attracted so many people because they knew this. Like they're not stupid. They know like, oh, that's what it is. So then I just get my number, wait several years while I'm getting free everything. Um, that's what it is.
An applicant can appeal their process for years more and then not be deported for years after that, if they are deported at all.
So think about that. So you get free stuff for a bunch of years. Then if you fail, then you can appeal that and it takes years more. And then even if you do get deported, like if you don't have a kid in that time who's automatically Canadian and somehow you get actually deported, they don't like pick you up and send you home. It's just like you get a letter in the mail kind of thing. And then you don't really have to leave, right? Like a lot of them are still here. So just think about that.
During this time, bogus claimants can draw social benefits that Canadians don't have access to, like vision care. In effect, over the last decade, the Liberal government has allowed Canada's asylum system to veer far away from the original principles of its design and turned it into a backdoor, skip-the-line economic migration stream, which is not accounted for at all in federal immigration levels planning, including the impact on housing supply, healthcare access, and jobs. This Liberal failure has had many negative impacts, which I will outline today, with the two most noteworthy, I believe, being the destruction of the fairness and compassion of Canada's asylum system, and in turn, the inability of the system to prioritize the world's most vulnerable persons. When the Minister of Immigration claimed that the immigration provisions contained in C2 and now in this bill would do something about this problem, she said it would improve the flexibility and responsiveness of the asylum system. However, in reality, the immigration provisions of this bill are structured to do one thing: shift the responsibility for addressing Canada's deeply broken asylum system to the courts and away from the Liberal government that broke it in the first place, potentially past the horizon of the next election. As such, it's my assessment that the immigration provisions in this bill are likely to fail without substantive amendment and additional measures to both reduce the incentive for economic migrants to abuse the asylum system, to swiftly remove bogus asylum claimants from Canada, and to restructure this asylum system to ensure that the world's most vulnerable persons do not continue to be let down by the Liberal government. I'll now.
So I'll just stop it there. But I mean, just think about how stupid this is. Like this one, I would say this one issue is enough to not vote for the Liberals because it just shows their mindset and their frame of mind, right? We had a backlog of 10,000. They've had hundreds of thousands that they incentivized to come here. It just shows like there's an economics to this with incentives, and they have failed so miserably that it's really hard to even know what to say. But I wanted to share this clip. At least she's knocking this issue out of the park, and we'll see where it goes. But it's pretty scary how much we've wasted. And I don't blame the immigrants who came in under this program. They were incentivized to do so, but I blame the Canadian voter who hasn't really figured it out enough yet. That's what I'll say there. I'll leave it there. I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, like, shares, subscribes, the whole thing, and we'll see you in the next video.